Don Pasquale is the sort of quintessence of bel canto opera. I think it's delightful, funny, but also very difficult to sing. Renée, did you ever sing any of those bel canto roles?
No, Elisir and Don Pasquale are roles that I would have loved to have sung. In fact, I was really hoping that I would move into that lyric coloratura repertoire, but I ended up singing 9 bel canto roles, and all of them much more lyrico spinto roles, the heavier ones, the tragedies, of course.
And they never let you have fun.
No, I have total comedy envy. I would die to be a comedian, and I never get to do those parts. All of my characters die in the end. So, this opera is just, it sparkles. But one has to remember, within all of that, and the drama, and the acting, and the movement of it, is still a very challenging bel canto style of singing. That has enormous range, coloratura, a cantabile from all of the voices in the opera. It's still a huge challenge.
And we have a wonderful cast, I think.
We do, and in the title role we have an interesting example of casting against type, so to speak. Ildebrando d'Arcangelo is a fantastic Italian bass baritone, youthful.
Yes, indeed.
In the old man role of Pasquale.
Yes.
And I think that will be very interesting, actually,
Yes,
because
yes.
all too often Pasquale becomes a kind of stereotype, a kind of caricature.
Right.
And Ildebrando is such a skillful actor and an intelligent performer, as well as a wonderful singer, that I think for his take on an older character, it should be really interesting.
Yes.
Absolutely, and he was in Don Giovanni as Leporello some years ago. He was just so fantastic, and he's a lovely person to work with too.
And of course you've worked with Marlis Peterson, our Norina.
Well, yes, and a greater sort of contrast between roles is
Would
hard
be
to
impossible.
imagine, because now she's doing the ingenue Norina, having done Lulu so memorably with
Yes.
us several years ago. She was astonishing.
She's an extraordinary range.
Yes.
I've seen her in Mozart. I've seen her. We've been together in Rosenkavalier. She does so many different kinds of repertoire. And the other thing about Ildebrando that I think he'll bring to the role is he'll make him more sympathetic. And people will think, well, really, he's not that bad, you know. So it will bring a complexity to the opera that it may not always have.
And in the other 2 leading roles in the quartet, we have 2 former Ryan Opera Center artists.
Yes,
Corey Kreider, who is returning to Lyric to sing Malatesta, and Renée Barbera, who's returning shortly after having left the Ryan Opera Center to sing Ernesto.
Yes, and the 2 of them actually vocally really are perfect for this repertoire. Renée is a really great singer of Donizetti and Bellini and those composers. It sort of fits his voice and his personality to a T.
The timbre is exactly right, isn't it?
Absolutely,
Yes.
yes. You know, he will go on to bigger things.
Yes, but at the moment that plangent Italianate sound is so right for this.
Well, and I love that you've engaged him. If he was so successful in the Ryan Opera Center, he'll be a huge star, most likely. And to sign him up before he goes off and becomes unavailable to us on a consistent basis is very clever indeed.
Yes, and he's having he won the Placido Domingo's Operalia competition in Moscow less than a year ago.
He did. Won a Rolex watch, as he tells everybody.
Yes, and he's very proud of that.
Yes.
No, I think he's going to go a long way,
Yes.
and we're lucky to have him. I think this is a really stellar cast for this repertoire. I think it's going to produce something that's really so scintillating. I think it's going to be irresistible.
And Renée, you put your finger on something very important in relation to the Ryan Opera Center. One of the great opportunities that having an extraordinary young artists development program like the Ryan Opera Center gives us is an opportunity to form relationships with young singers of exceptional talent and exceptional potential right at the start of their careers, so that throughout their careers they regard Lyric as their artistic home. And that's something that I think is so important.
It's also very important for the young artists to feel that they have some place to come where they know everyone, they feel at home, and they feel comfortable in repertoire that might have some risk involved, or in repertoire that they would want to try out. And not because this is the place to do that, but it's because they would feel a comfort level that would enable them to have the courage to do that.
And it should be emphasized that, you know, this is in no sense casting a role below the standard it should be.
Absolutely
I mean,
not.
these are great
No.
artists
Yeah.
who have developed on their own. It's just we're very proud of the fact that they're homegrown.
When a lot of our best singing occurs in a career before we're known, because word hasn't quite gotten out yet. And once you're a big star, sometimes you're at the peak, and that peak can last not a very long time. So it's really great to catch people on the way up.
And actually our Pasquale cast gives us the perfect example of the unique lyric ensemble, because we have two wonderful guest artists, Ildebrando and Marlis, partnered with Corey and Renee, two artists homegrown, so to speak. And it's a special combination, I think.
Yeah, I can't wait for this one, actually. You know, I never conduct bel canto, not because I don't like the music. It's actually difficult to conduct. I mean, one of these days, I suppose I should convince myself. One of my most admired mentors in life was Sir John Pritchard, who was a great Mozart conductor, and he was a great Strauss conductor, and he was a great bel canto conductor too. He was just fantastic, and it's not easy to conduct well.
Yes.
You have to be enormously flexible, because singers are struggling with the actual vocality of this repertoire, and so we just never know. We never know how a phrase is going to go, and you have to come with us. It's really challenging. And the other thing about this piece, I think that's important to mention, is that it's a fabulous family piece.
Yes.
It's fun, it's bubbly, and it's also a great first opera, I would say. People could come in and really enjoy this. Anybody would enjoy it.